What is going on, everyone? Today is Tuesday, October 23rd, 2018. We have so much to talk about in this video today, so make sure to stick around to get an update on all of these news items here happening in the cryptocurrency space. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure to like and subscribe, and we can just jump right into this. So the first piece of news that I want to cover, again, every single one of these 7 or 8 pieces that I'm going to be covering are going to be linked in the description if you want to read and get more information on them. Again, I'm kind of just going to highlight some of the key points that I think are important, that I think you guys are going to be most interested in. So this article posted on the cryptograph.com, published by Connor Pritchard, titled CNBC Brian Kelly, Key Players Will Be Suffering from Institutional FOMO. Kind of the theme of this entire year, and it's really just been building and building, kind of like a pressure cooker, right? It's kind of like all of this stuff is just building, and all of this stuff is getting set up, and we don't see the price move an inch. I think that's very much due to the market cycle that we're currently in, but as soon as this thing kicks off, it's going to be extremely violent in a good way. A lot of institutional money going to come in, and again, that'll bring in more retail, which will again bring in more institutional. It'll just be a snowball effect, and it'll be absolutely insane. So some of the key points of this article are that the Vanguard group could be working on something in the background, says CNBC's Brian Kelly. Kelly also believes that the institutional herd is coming and may suffer from fear of missing out. And he says here, big money will be the catalyst that ignites the bull run. A 10-month-long bear market has claimed many victims and will continue to do so until Q1 of 2019, according to Brian Kelly. So this is something that I've actually been saying for the past week or two, is that I really think by the time Bakkt and Fidelity and everything really starts moving, it'll probably be towards the beginning of 2019. We could maybe see the beginning or the end of 2018 as kind of like setting the foundation, setting things up for the next run and really solidifying crypto's place before a nice run. So there's only 2 months left of the year, so there's not really much time to wait until 2019. And so many people are saying that the beginning, Q1, Q2 of 2019 is going to be pretty drastic in terms of what is going to happen in the space. Also in regards to price, which is something we haven't seen in 2018. Brian is quoted here saying, "I can tell you from the conversations we've had that the herd is starting to enter this market." And we can see that, no doubt. We can see all of the institutions. Every single day there's a piece of news. And in fact, there is so much news even to cover just in the last 24 hours in this video that I'm excited to talk about, that I mean, it's hard not to get excited about this entire space. What he was referring to specifically in this article, though, about institutional fear of missing out was the Yale University Crypto Fund, which raised about $500 million in total. Other establishments such as MIT, Stanford, and Harvard are also following not far behind. And then $5 trillion under management from Vanguard could be working on a specific crypto-related project in the background. And the last quote from Brian here before we move on to the next article is that Fidelity is in it. Some of the startups like a Robinhood app, they launched crypto and got 1 million users in 4 days. So if you are at Schwab or you're at E-Trade, you look at this and say, hey, you know what? Where are the customers? They're there. We have to offer this product. And guys, I'm telling you right now, this is only going to snowball. It's only going to get faster and faster. It's only going to happen quicker and quicker. So it's kind of one of those things where you have to take the opportunity while you can, because once it gets going, it's going to be very hard to play catch up and try and join this market. Then I wanted to jump into this article published on abacusjournal.com. Breaking news that the Bitcoin SEC ETF meeting, CBOE, VanEck, SolidX all meet with SEC Commissioner Elad Roisman. Approval confidence is high. So they met on October 9th here. And I want to jump into some key points. In the meeting, the Commissioner, Roisman, argued that the ETF should be approved as previous issues identified by the SEC are now resolved directly from the presentation. And these are the key points here. There now exists a significant regulated derivatives market for Bitcoin. CBOE, Bitcoin futures OTC desks are regulated. Concerns around price manipulation have been mitigated, consistent with approval of prior commodity-based ETFs. CBOE rules are designed to surveil for potential manipulation of trust shares and promotes investor protection. If we jump down to the end here, it says a Bitcoin ETF should closely follow the Bakkt launch, the continued maturity of Bitcoin futures markets, Fidelity's crypto initiative, and NASDAQ's push into the crypto ecosystem. Given all of that activity, a Bitcoin ETF approval in late Q1 or Q2 2019 seems reasonable and even inevitable. So again, another article and more stuff going on in the space that really points to the beginning of 2019, the time when things are really going to start kicking off. And again, right now is kind of the foundation being set at the end of 2018. But what they mean by the Q1 of 2019 really means that that's when we're going to start seeing tangible impacts of all of these regulations and all of these different institutions and projects coming into play for cryptocurrency. that's when we could see some real progress. And again, what that comes coupled with is also the price increase. So I don't personally expect the price to increase necessarily over the next 2 months. I think it's possible, but I think the real parabolic move, the real moonshot, if you will, would most likely be more towards the very beginning of 2019. And the last quote I want to read from this article is that the VanEck ETF is perfectly approvable if you have been reading the tea leaves in the rejection language of the SEC connected to previous submissions. It checks every box, as I said before, and I've been shocked if it didn't win approval. Now that approval will probably come with a bunch of dissenting language amongst the respective approving members, it will still get approved, not backing down in any way. In fact, I double down on it at any moment. The SEC is the first and foremost interested in investor protection with these types of new asset class submissions. VanEck has this issue covered in spades with zero leverage and accredited investor protections built into the product. That will win the day eventually. Expect the rhetoric to ramp up and warring factions to become more visible leading up to any decision early next year, but I remain imminently confident in an approval. Again, awesome news there. Really quickly, before we get into the other articles, I just want to point this out. Elon Musk, if you're not familiar, he's quite a big influential person in the world, needless to say, 24 million almost followers on Twitter, but he had this tweet about loving anime. Somebody responded about what's happening with two-factor authentication for a Tesla account. And, I'm not sure exactly what this means, but he, in the spirit of anime, responded with an anime or manga type image here with Bitcoin in the background. It's a Bitcoin logo and everything. So, not 100% sure what that means. It's really cool because Elon is one of the most influential people in the world by far. As well, I do believe he's invested in Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies, and he most likely is or is going to be involved in one way or another with the space. Again, this was big news. I think it happened around last night. This was published on Cointelegraph.com, published by Anna Alexandra. New York Stock Exchange parent company reveals launch date for Bitcoin futures on Bakkt platform. The parent company of the New York Stock Exchange, Intercontinental Exchange, ICE, has announced the launch date for the Bitcoin futures on its platform Bakkt, according to a document released on October 22nd, which was last night. So ICE will list Bakkt daily futures contracts for trading on December 12th, 2018. The product will be physically settled and cleared by ICE Clear US. The notice further explains each futures contract calls for delivery of one Bitcoin held in the Bakkt digital asset warehouse and will trade in US dollar terms. One daily contract will be listed for trading each exchange business day. So this, timing-wise, could not be better. It pretty much comes at the tail end of 2018, the very end, and really sets up quarter one and quarter two 2019 for a very nice move for cryptocurrencies here. It says, in December of last year, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, CME, and the Chicago Board Operations Exchange, CBOE, launched Bitcoin futures. This summer, the Federal Reserve Bank of San Francisco wrote an economic letter stating that the rapid run-up and subsequent fall in the price after the introduction of futures does not appear to be a coincidence, and it is consistent with trading behavior that typically accompanies the introduction of futures markets for an asset. As well, Bakkt will not support margin trading for its Bitcoin contract. And because of that, the platform will reportedly better support market integrity and enable the trusted price formation that it says is key to advancing the promise of digital currency. So it really seems as if Bakkt is really trying to help legitimize Bitcoin in a good way and does not necessarily want it to be manipulated. At least from all the information coming out now, it seems as if it's a positive thing for Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. I think there are a lot of people that are involved and behind this that do want to see the price of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin rise, because I'm sure many of them are investors. Again, it's interesting that they even address the fact of Bitcoin futures being rolled out at the end of 2017 last year and the effect that had on the market. Was very interesting. And essentially saying that they believe because of not doing margin trading, they don't really want to have a similar intended effect. They don't want to see the market kind of do what it did last year at the end of 2017. But we'll just have to wait and see. But it is interesting to see that we finally have a date for the Bitcoin futures contracts to begin trading on Bakkt. It's happening very fast. It's going quite fast. October is essentially over, about 1 week left. Then we have November, and then at the very beginning of December is when this goes live. So it should be interesting to see how that happens. Another news published on ccn.com, published by Yashu Gola here. The title is Hong Kong Stock Exchange Proposes Framework for Regulating Cryptocurrencies. The Hong Kong Stock Exchange, HKEX, believes that legal frameworks around finance and crypto should be the same. The world's sixth largest stock exchange, in its research paper, looks at the need for regulators to keep up with the pace of financial technologies. If they lag behind, the existing laws of finance should be applicable to the companies in the fintech space based on their resemblance with the traditional services. Blockchain, for instance, could be brought inside the space of investment, trading, clearing, and settlement Similarly, issuing digital assets on blockchain could be governed by an existing securities regulatory framework. So again, this goes along with that theme of institutions getting involved all around the world. What's so interesting about this is it's all happening kind of all at once very quickly. And it's not just the US or it's not just Japan. It's really happening everywhere. And it's interesting to see Hong Kong coming out and saying some of this stuff. It's been happening a little bit more recently within the past few weeks, which is very good, I think, for cryptocurrency. If we could get China and Hong Kong kind of back into the space, I think that'll really give this space a huge, much needed boost. Because for the most part, China is not nearly as involved in the market currently as it was in 2017. If y'all remember, it kind of had a crackdown on that at the end of 2017, beginning of 2018. And yeah, I think China and much of the East getting involved in cryptocurrency will be very beneficial in the future and also necessary, inevitable really. But it's interesting to see such a lack of resistance of getting into cryptocurrency. We're seeing the very beginning stages of fear of missing out from these institutions. It's happening very, very fast. And it's literally happening right now. It's happening today, October 23rd, 2018. It was happening last week, but it's happening slowly, but every day it's getting quicker and quicker. Again, that snowball effect, it's really just picking up, and it's hard not to be excited about. So it says here, despite the difference in fintech regulations among countries, the principle of consistency generally applies. That's to say, financial services with the same nature are subject to the same regulations under the existing legal framework, so as to maintain fair competition, ensure regulatory effectiveness, and prevent regulatory arbitrage. There's another quote here. Given that fintech's supervisory sandbox is timely and flexible in making a regulatory response to market innovations, it can encourage fintech innovations and minimize the negative impact of regulatory uncertainties with effective risk prevention and control. It is therefore the most suitable regulatory tool for fintech. So I just want to jump down and read the last two paragraphs here. And I'm not going to read all of it, but again, if you want to check these articles out in full, they will be pinned to the top of the description of this video. But here are the last two quotes. There are now some business search engines in the market which can help regulators analyze the nexus of commercial transactions and relationships in the financial market. These business search engines can analyze public information of listed issuers faster and in greater depth with the help of technologies, providing the accurate connections between companies and discovering possible insider trading. This would be the primary application of big data in RegTech. In other news, we have this article published by Connor Blankensop on Cointelegraph.com, 500 games to accept altcoin as payment for the first time. So this is really cool. This is not a cryptocurrency that many of you are familiar with. But if we want to jump into it here, it says a made-for-gaming crypto has become the first ever altcoin to be accepted by a major gaming platform, and what is being described as good news for developers and players alike. So Mobile Go, MGO for short, has been picked up by Xsala, a company which aims to help content creators launch, monetize, and market titles. This means that the cryptocurrency is now available for use in over 500 games, with more than 500 million players who play those games getting the chance to purchase titles and use that altcoin for in-game purchases. Again, microtransactions in the video game world have really become a huge thing. If you guys are familiar with video games nowadays, they're mainly all online, and a lot of the times what will happen is you can buy a video game for its full price, but then if you want to get certain additional, whether it's items, maps, or whatever it is, you can pay with microtransactions. And again, that's kind of like the perfect use for cryptocurrencies. You can do it very fast, very cheaply. It would be very efficient for the companies that have these video games that are selling them. For example, I can give a really good example here. So Steam is a website or an application as well that you can download. And many people get computer games from Steam. And a lot of the times they have this thing called the Steam Summer Sale, as well as other flash sales where they sell games on the site for 70, 90% off. And a lot of the times what happens is that the app or the website actually crashes because so many people are on it and buying and trying to get these deals. And essentially a solution for that could be cryptocurrency in the future. I mean, again, inevitably, I think that's where we're headed. So I think that will be implemented as the time gets closer to that. But getting back to this article, it says here, the founder and CEO of Xsala said owners of MGO will soon be able to engage in peer-to-peer match play and organize decentralized gaming tournaments in a way never before possible. MGO is essentially the Bitcoin of the gaming industry, the most trusted cryptocurrency that Xsala is making available to more than 500 million gamers today. And if we just want to look at some statistics here, it claims that operations in more than 200 countries and territories. MGO will now be presented to users as an option alongside 130 currencies and 700 payment methods. One of the benefits of this that they list here is that it'll slash payment time substantially, especially for the companies. They can receive and the game developers as well, who are behind these games. Sometimes it takes weeks for them to receive their payments through traditional payment methods. However, cryptocurrency would be a lot quicker. they process instantly as opposed to what financial tools traditionally would process. It says the ultimate goal is to become a universal currency for the 2.6 billion gamers, which are estimated to be worldwide. 2.6 out of roughly 7 billion. So that's a huge chunk. That's roughly like over 30% of the world are considered video gamers, right? So that's a demographic that you really cannot discount at all. It's inching up on a majority of the world. They go on to talk about examples where players in esports have not received prize money, but with cryptocurrency, it could reduce levels of fraud and make it easier for players to receive their funds. Actually, what's going on right now is Worlds in League of Legends, which is the biggest League of Legends tournament every year. Currently, I believe this weekend are the semifinals, and then the finals are next weekend. And actually, North America for the first time is actually in the semifinals in so long. So there's a chance that a North American team could win. There's only 4 teams left. One Asian team. Previously, it was essentially always all Asian teams in the semifinals. But now we have a European team, I believe G2, Fnatic as well. So those two. I think the North American team is C9, and I think there's a Asian team there as well. Of removing the centralization from gaming, from Ethereum co-founder Vitalik himself saying that he happily played World of Warcraft during 2007 to 2010, but one day Blizzard removed the damage component from my beloved Warlock Siphon's life spell. I cried myself to sleep, and on that day I realized what horror centralized services can bring. I soon decided to quit. Ironically, I actually know exactly what he's talking about because I did play that game for years and years, but that's just a quote from Vitalik there. Again, a video gamer as well as many other people in this space. These cryptocurrency and video gaming are demographics that are not very far from each other. It's a very overlapping field, cryptocurrency and video gaming, I mean. And yeah, so I think this is just another hint. I think moving forward, video gaming is going to become a bigger and bigger ecosystem, and I think cryptocurrency will be as well. So I think inevitably these two are going to become more and more tied together. And then finally we have this article published on ccn.com. Aussie blockchain startup wins billionaire Branson's tech challenge. Power Ledger, a blockchain startup based in Australia, won business magnate Sir Richard Branson's Extreme Tech Challenge 2018. So this challenge aims to provide entrepreneurs with the right tools to help them build their tech products. And Power Ledger received endorsements worth millions of dollars in a ceremony that took place at Branson's Caribbean island this weekend. It was launched in 2016 and raised 34 million AUD in its ICO the following year with a mission to provide peer-to-peer electricity to people through the use of blockchain technology. The co-founder said the success of their renewable project proves that people understand the importance as well as the potential of clean energy. As well, Power Ledger received mentorship from leading tech companies such as IBM and Amazon. It took 9 months to finalize the winning team of the top 10 finalists. During this period, Power Ledger implemented its solution and launched 3 different applications. Just a few months ago in August, the company, in collab with electric power generation company BCPG, began testing power trading in Bangkok's T77 precinct. The trial allows residents to buy and sell excess renewable energy using blockchain technology. Again, these are the type of things that we almost can't really think of that are going to happen and be able to exist because of cryptocurrency, and this is a perfect example of that. Just like when the internet was first created, you couldn't really predict Google or Facebook. We're at the very beginning stages of crypto, and stuff like this that we couldn't really predict is happening now. It's really crazy to watch. Here it says, on both sides of the United States, we've got energy trading occurring within utilities, and we're working with Silicon Valley Power in the city of Santa Clara to develop a carbon trading derivative platform. And as well, Power Ledger is set to launch a security token, Asset Germination Token, or AGE. The security token will be shared among retail investors who co-own renewable energy assets. This token will encourage people to invest in clean energy and share their profits on a decentralized network. They purposely chose to target investors who were denied the opportunity to take part in the renewable projects. There's some stuff that has to be worked out in regards to grid-connected batteries and commercial solar panels. However, the project is now in its final stage. So yeah, that's insane. That's literally one day of what's going on in the cryptocurrency space. And I mean, just going through all of that stuff and reading all of the new developments going on, all of the billionaires and millionaires around the world who are super interested in cryptocurrency alone, not to mention the fact that regulators, governments around the world are taking kindly, surprisingly, right now to cryptocurrency, is just probably the most bullish thing that could really be happening in this space. Now, I try to keep this chart up pretty often in the videos just because you can see this is a very zoomed out version of Bitcoin's price and this is a more zoomed in version. I leave this open just to pretty much illustrate, I guess, possibilities of where we could be going. I do this a lot, but I really do think it's a very parabolic scenario that we're probably heading. Potentially more parabolic than that, depending on when it happens. when it does happen, you can see how parabolic this was. When actual institutional investors come in, I would not be surprised if it was more parabolic, meaning more vertical, which would be absolute insanity in terms of people checking their portfolios every day and watching the numbers on CoinMarketCap and on TradingView. It would be absolutely ridiculous to see it. And again, it would bring so much euphoria, so much excitement. And really, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. It's a question of when this will happen. Because the thing is, it is happening. Everything setting the stage for it is happening. The only thing left, really, besides continued advancement in the space, continued adoption, one of the only parts left is more people getting invested, more people learning about this space. If anything, the reason that 99% of the world is not invested in cryptocurrency is not because they don't believe in it. It's mostly because they don't really understand it. They don't know about it. So again, as I always say, if you're in this space now, you're very lucky, you're very fortunate, you're knowledgeable, but also you're just early. The world will continue to take kindly to cryptocurrency as it gets more and more advanced. And even if they didn't, they don't really have a choice, which is also kind of like a safety net in terms of why this is going to be huge. But yeah, I just want to say, like, it's mainly because people just don't understand it. You spend 20, 30 minutes talking to somebody one-on-one, they really will start to understand it. I mean, granted, you have to explain it well. You can't be too pushy or anything, but if you take any reasonable person, you take 20, 30 minutes and explain it to them, most likely they'll be pretty shocked. I have many of those experiences myself talking to people in real life and everything, and yeah, it's pretty awesome. But yeah, that's going to be it for today's video, guys. If you enjoyed, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.